So this weekend at UFC 324, Justin Gaethje will be fighting Paddy Pimblett, and I haven't done a ton of UFC predictions on this channel recently, but it was something I used to do quite often, and for the big fights I probably will do them. And this is a really interesting fight in my opinion, between two top contenders in the lightweight division. Of course, Paddy's the guy who's the viral sensation. He's on a tear at the moment, won a loads of fights in a row and got a couple of big names on his resume now, most notably his last three wins over Tony Ferguson, Bobby Green and Michael Chandler. Particularly the Bobby Green and Michael Chandler win were both stoppages, and big names on his resume as well. Tony Ferguson, he beat him in a unanimous decision, couldn't even stop a absolutely finished Tony Ferguson. So take from that what you will. And Justin Gaethje, on the other hand, at this point, he's an absolute veteran of the lightweight division, in my opinion. At this point, he's been around 4 years, and he's experienced both the ups and downs of the sport. And even in recent times, Max Holloway at UFC 300 went out in a crazy knockout, went out flat on his face, UFC 300, and then comes back against Rafael Fiziev in a rematch and beats him relatively comfortably. Fiziev was giving him some problems though. Fiziev was, it wasn't an easy fight for Gaethje at all. Fiziev definitely had some moments there, but overall Gaethje did enough to win the fight. He goes into this fight facing Paddy Pimblett. And Paddy Pimblett's the type of guy who we've seen tons of his fights where this guy can get tagged. He's never really been rocked badly and never been stopped. Never been knocked out, sorry. So you're sort of questioning, okay, Paddy's clearly got a chin on him, but you can't take big shots from the likes of what's his name? Justin Gaethje. You can't take big shots from the likes of Justin Gaethje because they will put you out, right? We've seen Justin Gaethje, he got knocked out by Max Holloway. We've seen Justin Gaethje put out a ton of guys. We saw the beatdown he gave to Tony Ferguson. He is the reason Tony Ferguson is so cooked. Justin Gaethje was the one that put an absolute beating on him, and Tony Ferguson was never the same again, right? Justin Gaethje did a number to Tony Ferguson. The real question is, does that Justin Gaethje still exist? And I suppose the question also begged for Paddy Pimblett as well, because Paddy's the same. Paddy isn't active. Even though Paddy's winning his fights, in the past 3 years, Paddy's only fought once a year. He fought once in 23, once in 24, once in 25. Paddy's younger. Paddy's got far less miles on the clock. But again, you got to ask the same question. It gets to a point eventually we'll have to ask the question, between these year-long breaks between fights, are we getting the same Paddy as the last Paddy we saw? Obviously, at the moment, I don't think it's a problem. I don't think anyone's concerned about it. But we'll see how this fight goes. We'll see how this fight goes because, hey, Gaethje's going to be throwing some heat, bro. And Gaethje's crazy at leg kicks, crazy at those uppercuts. But we have seen Gaethje being stopped now. He was stopped by Max Holloway, and punch for punch, you would say, or even strike for strike, Paddy Pimblett's a much bigger guy than Max Holloway. Has a lot more muscle on his frame. So, in theory, should be able to generate a lot more power with his shots. But it's not always that simple in the game of MMA. I want to go with the Paddy Pimblett win. I think Paddy Pimblett's, he got the momentum, he's on the streak. I think he can do it. But there's paths to victory for Justin Gaethje for sure. Like I'm saying, like the leg kicks, the uppercuts, the inside work. We'll see. Because the thing is, because I saw Pimblett so easily beat Michael Chandler. Now, in a lot of ways, Michael Chandler, a prime Michael Chandler, would be a nightmare matchup for the likes of Paddy. And granted, Paddy didn't fight a prime Michael Chandler. But I don't think the result would have been that different. Because once you see Paddy take the shots from Michael Chandler, if you can take a shot from Michael Chandler, odds are you can probably take a shot from more or less anyone. But Gaethje can bang as well, man. And Gaethje is a different type of power with Gaethje. It's a different type of power because Gaethje, like we saw with Tony Ferguson, he'll just put a beat down on you. He's not necessarily like Michael Chandler, who's going to fire an overhand and get you out of there, right? So yeah, it's an interesting one. I want to go with Paddy to win. I think it's going to be a Paddy decision against Justin Gaethje. I'll be super curious to know what you guys think of the fight. Who do you think is going to win? Do you think Paddy can continue his momentum? Or do you think Justin Gaethje can carry on, can create a bit of a winning streak for himself and maybe talk himself into a world title shot? Let me know in the comments below. Another episode of the Seth Solo Side Quest in the bag, and I'm out. Peace.